The North Tampa Bar Association is pleased to present the Judicial Candidates Forum for the 2020 election. Hello, I'm Jared Krukar, President of the North Tampa Bar Association. I'm also a board-certified appellate attorney here in Tampa with the firm Kynes, Markman & Feldman. I'm joined by Adria Dickey, immediate past president of the North Tampa Bar. She owns her own firm that specializes in elder law, estate planning, and estate administration. We welcome you to the North Tampa Bar's Judicial Candidate Forum for the 2020 election.
The North Tampa Bar Association has been around over 20 years. It was formerly known as the Carrollwood Bar Association. We are a group of attorneys and also other financial professionals that work with attorneys in the North Tampa area. We have put on this forum to get the word out about the judicial candidates. There are currently 15 people running for judicial service. There will only be 6 people elected. The people elected could serve in a variety of roles that include family law court, criminal court, traffic court, personal injury court. So you never know when you or someone you may know may be in front of one of these judges.
We have always held these forums live in the past, but COVID-19 changed our plans for this year. Instead, the candidates in each contested election joined us via Zoom. They each had 6 minutes to answer as many as 6 pre-approved questions. We recorded each candidate and compiled the video here for you to meet the candidates virtually. The recordings match the order in which the candidates appear on the North Tampa Bar's flyer for this event, so feel free to use that flyer to follow along. You can get that at our website at www.northtampabarassociation.com. After this showing, we'll also be posting the candidates' written answers to these questions on our website, and we'll be posting a link to this video on our website. So feel free to watch it again if you like, or feel free to share it with others. The more people we can reach with the messages from the candidates, the more informed our public can be. As Adria said, our judicial elections are so very important, and because they're nonpartisan, often do not get the attention they merit. A great deal of thanks goes out to James Loper, a former NTBA president and longtime member who was instrumental in putting this event together. Also, thank you to all the candidates for their willingness to speak and flexibility in moving to this online format on short notice. We hope you enjoy the forum. Circuit Court Judge Group 9. Kelly Ayers, candidate for Circuit Court Group 9.
What is the source of your value system?
That would be my moral compass. I think if everybody always looks deep down in themselves, they know what's right and what's wrong. You know who it's most important to. So I think if I follow my moral compass and make sure it fits within the confines of the law, that justice will be served.
Why do you want to become a judge?
I have loved every single minute of practicing law. I'm one of those lawyers who love the law. People laugh at me, but I do. I love advocating for my clients. I own and litigate 3 firms, a firm that does civil, one that does family law, and county criminal. I'm usually in court every single day, several times a day, and I would love to bring that experience to the other side of the bench so I can help navigate everyone through the process.
And what have you done to prepare yourself specifically for judicial service?
Well, I started out at 17 years old, heading up to the University of South Florida. I returned to Tampa. I went to Stetson University College of Law, where I graduated cum laude and in the very top of my class. I was very fortunate to get out and get a wonderful job at a big prestigious law firm called Fowler White. While I was at that firm, I was contacted by a professor over at the University of South Florida, and he invited me to come and lead a team in rewriting the Baker Act statute. So I did that for a couple of years. I was at the time pregnant with the second of my 3rd child, so that was nice. It provided me a little more flexibility. Once I completed that task, I went to open my own law firm, starting in civil. I shortly thereafter moved into family law. And then years later, I came to own a law firm that services the Hispanic community. And I mainly do county criminal for them. I do family law and some dependency. So I think I have a wide range of experience.
What distinguishes you from the other candidate?
Again, I'm going to say I'm very fortunate that I got to work in a very big firm very prestigious firm. I also got to go work at a university. The fact that I now own 3 law firms, I always joke that the first thing I had to do when I opened my own law firm was go to the clerk's office and learn how to file a complaint and request a summons because they had done it all for me when I was at Fowler White. So I feel lucky. I can do JAWS. I can do the e-portal. I have a wonderful staff that works for me, but I've had the opportunity to get my hands dirty. So I do know how to do everything that my office knows how to do. Again, the fact that I've had experience in the 3 core areas of the law happened by accident, but I'm very fortunate now that I have been in all 3 areas, and the fact that I'm literally in court every single day, usually several times a day. Today is actually a day I'm not going to court, but I'll be there tomorrow.
How would you describe your temperament and personality?
Well, I am a super people person. There's nowhere that my husband and I don't go that we pick up a couple of new friends. I'm extremely approachable and friendly. My one goal too about being a judge is I want to be accessible. I mean, if someone needs to get a hold of my JA, I hope she's going to call you right back, email you right back, and maybe not have so much formality and just be able to be accessible to the people.
What would make you a competent judge?
Again, it's my experience and my background. I was born and raised in Tampa. I'm actually the first person in my family to obtain a college degree. My dad is literally one of the hardest workers you will ever meet. He's nearing 80. He still goes to the office every day, and he instilled that in my sister and I. And again, I headed up to the University of Florida. I graduated in the top of my class at Stetson. I had the opportunity to work at a big firm, work at a university, and the fact that I practiced in the 3 core areas of the law, and I'm in court every single day. I am married to a retired Air Force Senior Master First Sergeant. I always have to look up how to say that. I'm a mom to 3 young adult children. I absolutely love the law. I love people, and I'm looking very forward to bringing that experience to the other side of the bench, and I would be honored to be your next circuit court judge.
Thank you, Ms. Ayers.
Thank you.
John Allen Schifino, candidate for Circuit Court Group 9. Mr. Schifino, what is the source of your value system?
So I'm very fortunate to have 2 remarkable people for parents. They are 2 of the most honorable and hardworking people I know. They both come from very humble backgrounds. My mother was the first person in her family to go to college. My father and his brother the first to go to college. In their family, they didn't have any money for college. They had to work to pay for school, apply for scholarships, and they never took education for granted. So they taught me through their actions, their words, to engage in everything that I do, including my profession, with integrity, compassion, humility, determination, hard work. And for all my life, and certainly during my legal career, I've tried to do exactly that. And also public service has been an important part of my parents' lives. As a result of their many years serving our community, public service became part of my DNA and my siblings' DNA. And it's my hope I'm modeling that same behavior for my kids so that public service becomes a meaningful part of their life too.
Why do you want to be a judge?
So I'm very fortunate to work at what I believe is an excellent law firm. I like my colleagues. We have challenging work, so I'm not running away from anything. It's just that over the past 25 years, I've been able to serve my profession and my community through a number of wonderful organizations. I spent 9 years working with the Pace Center for Girls here in Hillsborough County on the board, 4 years as president. I spent years serving on my children's school foundations, parent-teacher organizations, and I relished every moment. I spent the last 5 years working with the Florida Bar and their Standing Committee on Professionalism. And locally, I've worked with the Hillsborough County Bar Association, serving as president in 2018, 2019. And I say that because the Hillsborough County Bar is one of the largest bar associations in the state. We have almost 4,000 members, lawyers and judges, and we have a national reputation for our programming and our events. And so, like I've said, public service is part of my DNA, and I see working as a judge as a logical continuation of this desire to serve. And our bench performs very important public service. It defends the rule of law, protects the rights of individuals, it rights injustices, it safeguards our republic. And I say this not as hyperbole, I really believe it. So it would be humbling, to say the least, and a privilege to be part of this.
What have you done over the years to prepare yourself specifically for judicial service?
I've had 25 years of practice. I have a general litigation and trial practice. And over the years, I've practiced in a variety of areas. And I believe this broad range of experience would prepare me if I'm elected to the bench. There wouldn't be too many surprises. And also I've had the opportunity to take a lot of cases to trial, and many of these trials involved complicated issues, and many involved me picking a jury. And having experience picking juries and being lead counsel, conducting jury trials, I believe is important, an important quality for a judge. And through the trial practice, I've earned a reputation as a hardworking and professional and civil lawyer, and one that grasps complex issues. And I believe this trial experience and my work ethic would prepare me for the bench. And finally, over the past many years, I've been fortunate to be able to serve our profession and our community through many wonderful organizations, as I've mentioned. And I serve because I hope that through my efforts, our profession, our community can get a little bit better. And I think it's not only important for judges, for lawyers to do that, judges need to do that too. They're critical parts of our community, and they must engage in the community. And my track record over my career demonstrates that that's exactly what I'll do.
What distinguishes you from the other candidate?
So as I've said, I've had the good fortune to take a number of cases to trial. I've earned a reputation among my fellow lawyers and judges on the bench as a hardworking and a good lawyer and a professional lawyer. And a number of things come from that. In 2019, the 13th Judicial Circuit, and that's our circuit here in Hillsborough County, presented me with its Professionalism Award. And that was awarded by a committee of judges and bar leaders. And in 2017, the Hillsborough Association for Women Lawyers presented me with their Professionalism Award. And that's an award from a committee of judges and bar leaders. And I've been listed in Best Lawyers of America, Florida Legal Elite, Florida Super Lawyers. And these are peer-reviewed publications. And I don't say this to boast, because I know awards and publications aren't the end-all be-all by any stretch. But these are awards and rankings based on peer review, based on people who know us. And I believe that the citizens of Hillsborough County want a judge who is respected by their peers, respected in their community, and has the judicial temperament to justly and fairly serve them. And finally, it's my hope voters will consider the endorsements in this race. We're doing the best to get the message out, and here's why. A number of organizations who participate in the election process and a number of individuals who know the profession have measured the candidates and have decided to endorse me in this race, and I'm very humbled by that. These include the Hillsborough County firefighters, the Tampa firefighters, the West Central Police Union, the Tampa Police Union, the Tampa Police Chiefs, our first responders, and that means the world to me. The AFL-CIOs endorsed my campaign. Last two chief judges, Dennis Alvarez, Manny Menendez, they're on board. Michael Sparkman, former mayor from Plant City. Our last 5 mayors in the city, including Governor Martinez, all support my campaign. And I know endorsements aren't everything, but impactful community organizations and people believe that I have the right experience and the right temperament to best serve the citizens of Hillsborough County.
How do you describe your temperament and personality?
I would describe myself as a person who lives his life and practices law with civility and professionalism, a person who acts with integrity, a person who is deliberative and thoughtful, and who treats everyone with kindness and respect. But one thing I would suggest is this. It's easy for us, all of us candidates, to sit here and to tell you how we would describe ourselves, our temperament and personality. What I hope the voters will do, and what I hope everyone watching this will do, is take a moment to look at what the legal professionals think of the candidates.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Schifino.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Circuit Court Judge, Group 19. Michael J. Scionti, Circuit Court, Group 19.
Can you please tell me what the source is of your value system?
Well, thank you for that question. The core value that guides me in my life and in my decision-making as a judge is honesty, integrity, and my trustworthiness. And they were instilled in me at an early age by my parents, and later influenced by the guidance and wisdom through teachings and practice of my faith as a Catholic.
Why did you want to become a judge?
Well, I think the positive impact that members of the judiciary can have on lives in our community is essential. I currently serve as a circuit court judge. I've served our community and our country for 25 years, upholding the rule of law in and out of the courtroom, on and off the battlefield, and throughout all branches of government. I hope to continue my judicial service, guaranteeing the fair and impartial administration of justice, and ensuring that everyone is treated equally under the law, and trying to make a positive impact on lives in our community.
What have you done throughout the years to prepare yourself for judicial service?
Well, I think over my 25 years as a lawyer and as a judge, part of that time as a judge, I've gained extensive knowledge and experience in the practice of law, as well as have been a good steward, I believe, of the legal profession. The extent and nature of my experiences has brought balance and clarity of thought in my decision making that I carry out in my judicial duties.
What distinguishes you from the other candidate?
Well, the short answer would be the depth and breadth of my legal and judicial experience. I currently serve as the Circuit Court Judge for Group 19. I preside over juvenile delinquency court and veterans treatment court. I formerly served in the military, served as a military magistrate, presiding over hundreds of war tribunals. That depth and breadth of legal and judicial experience, which has spanned 25 years, not only at the trial level, but also at the appellate level, and not only in state court, but in federal court, and not only representing plaintiffs, but defendants. I think that's what distinguishes my candidacy from my opponent, is that depth and breadth of experience that I bring to the bench.
How would you describe your personality and your temperament?
Well, I believe I'm open-minded and patient and flexible. You must be when dealing with veterans who are struggling with post-traumatic stress, substance use disorders, juvenile delinquency, and children that are struggling with mental health issues, as well as substance abuse issues. You must remain open-minded, patient, and flexible. I believe I'm approachable, outgoing, and friendly. That too is important as a member of the bench when dealing with struggling children who are who don't listen to their parents. So I try to bridge the gap between the resistance they see, the parents see from their children, and try to bring the children into more mainstream, focusing them on their schooling, listening to their parents. Veterans, bringing that patient and approachable demeanor to have them acknowledge their dependencies so that we can work on their rehabilitation and recovery.
What do you think makes you a competent judge?
Well, I've been proven and tested as an attorney. I've been proven and tested as a judge. I perform my duties and my responsibilities with the highest level of integrity. I demonstrate, I believe, a strong understanding of the law. I apply a fair-minded, common sense approach to my decision-making. I currently represent our judiciary, maintaining the highest levels of personal and professional standards of conduct. And I think that's what makes me a competent judge.
Thank you so much, candidate Michael Scionti.
Thank you. And thank you to the North Tampa Bar Association for hosting this forum.
Ashley Ivanov, Circuit Court Group 19. Ms. Ivanov chose not to participate in this video forum. Her written answers to these questions will be published with all the other candidates' answers at www.northtampabarassociation.com. Circuit Court Judge Group 30. Helene Daniel, candidate for Circuit Court Group 30.
Can you please tell me what the source of your value system is?
Thank you, Adria. My mother and my three sisters are my moral compass. They taught me honesty, integrity, and that hard work and perseverance will bring about positive things in my life. Now that I'm a mother, I have tried to lead by example and choosing to make the right thing or the right decision every time. Believe teaches integrity.
Why do you want to become a judge?
So to serve on the bench for me would be the culmination of all of my years of experience, not only as a trial attorney, but also as a mediator. And I believe that it's about serving the law and serving my community. More importantly, I do believe that as members of the bar, and of course as every citizen in the community, we all have a vested interest in ensuring that we elect attorneys who have real courtroom experience, trial experience to serve on the bench.
What have you done over the years to specifically prepare yourself for judicial service?
So I've taken many, many cases to verdict in both civil and criminal. I have litigated in a variety of areas of the law, including nursing home, medical malpractice, personal injury. I've had some commercial cases, construction cases. I've also done contested adoption litigation. And I've had, over the course of 30 plus years of experience, hundreds of hearings, depositions, discovery motions, all sorts of things that would be routinely seen by a judge on the bench. So also having worked in law firms has taught me teamwork, which I believe is very important. And also having been the managing partner of Gallagher, Daniel, and Keenan, and more recently of my own firm, has taught me how to manage a small business and manage people at the same time. And I believe all of these things lend themselves well to managing a busy docket, courtroom personnel, juries, all the things that a trial judge would have to deal with.
What distinguishes you from the other candidate?
So I believe the most important thing that distinguishes me from my colleague is my 30 years of experience as a trial attorney. I've also been a circuit civil mediator since 2001. Both of these experiences, trying cases as an advocate and being an impartial mediator and helping parties empower them to reach solutions to their cases, are all skills that judges are going to need to serve as effective judges on the bench. So I believe all of these things, including the fact that I've tried many cases to verdict, are absolutely, in my opinion, essential. And I believe all these things set me apart from my opponent.
How would you describe your temperament and your personality?
I've had the privilege of representing clients from all walks of life. Over the years, I have represented plaintiffs, defendants, small businesses, families. I've represented doctors, nurses, insurance companies, and a lot of pro bono clients as well. And all of them have taught me that the practice of law is about people. And so over the years, I have developed a sensitivity to people, and I believe this is critical in being an effective judge. We don't just need experience, obviously, but we need to have the right judicial temperament to be able to represent the law and preside over cases and treat parties fairly, with dignity, with respect. And we have to do this impartially in every case, consistently, even with people who are not represented by counsel.
What makes you a competent judge?
Since 2016, I have maintained the rating of AV Preeminent, which is Martin Del Hubble's highest ratings for both legal abilities and ethics. And what that means, and I'm particularly proud of this, is it's based on anonymous peer review, which means that other attorneys who have practiced with me or who know me believe that I am competent and ethical.
Thank you so much, Judicial Candidate Helene Daniel.
Thank you.
Danny Alvarez, candidate for Circuit Court, Group 30. What is the source of your value system?
Thank you for that question, Jared, and thank you, Audrey, and everybody for having me. I really appreciate it. The source of my value system is threefold. One, my faith, my service to my country, and my family and the American journey that we've taken. My family is a refugee family that came here from a country escaping communism and socialism, and those combos of experiences have formed who I am, my faith, our journey, and our service to our country.
Why do you want to be a judge?
Jerry, that's a really, really great question, because simply put, the answer is service. I'm a service-based person. This isn't the first time I've gone into the community and tried to contribute back. And the reason that is I think we answered it at the first question, which was how we got to the United States. So I literally would not be alive but for the United States and our legal system opening its doors to my family. I was born in America. I'm a first-generation American. My parents still speak with an accent, and they told me and they taught me that to give back is the ultimate reward for thanking people for our freedom and our liberty. So that's how it started when I got into the Army. I was an airborne infantry officer. I served 6 years, and I served overseas in Korea. And then when I came back, I was searching for that service-based component to fill my bucket. I thought I would become a lawyer and then give back. I've been on every board possible. I'm a gubernatorial appointee. I still serve on the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority. I currently work for the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, proudly serving next to law enforcement. But it just wasn't enough. When I went to law school, I knew I wanted to do more. So I'm running to make a difference. And that's really why I want to become a judge, so I could be a voice for all, an impartial one that is compassionate and is ready to serve.
What have you done over the years to prepare yourself specifically for judicial service?
Jared, I think that when you go examine a judge, you need to look at the totality of one's life experience. What we've done as an attorney is ultra important because that gets us in the door. But to me, that's the bare minimum. So I have been an attorney for 12 years. I practice business law, personal injury, immigration, as well as estate planning and trusts. I have 4 college degrees. I have taken cases from the beginning to the end, to trial, to verdict. And we've done that successfully as well. But along the way there as well, I've been a business law professor with extremely high ratings at the University of Tampa for over 9 years. I'm an entrepreneur. I opened several local businesses in town. One was called Chef Inspired Popcorn. So I understand that perspective. I'm a father of 4 young children. I'm a volunteer, and I'm a veteran. So the totality of life is what we have done to come to this exact moment. Casework, I have a heavy caseload. I've had a heavy caseload. I've worked a ton of pro bono, and now it's just time to become a judge. And I think that's what got us here. And if I could say, I'm sorry about the computer bouncing. I'm in my truck on my way to another assignment, and I'm working on my laptop, so I apologize.
What distinguishes you from the other candidate?
Jared, if I have purpose and I believe in purpose, you need to get out of the way, because that I am a service-based person, and my purpose drives me. I think that everyone that's running for judge right now is completely qualified. I want to be crystal clear, and I think my opponent is a fantastic person. This answer is more about me and my drive. I will work hard. I love the law. I am what's called a true believer. I believe in our system, and I believe it's the last bastion of the greatest system that has ever been created, and I want to be a part of it. And so when you have that drive and that passion combined with the experience, that I think is what distinguishes one. I ask people to look at what people have done when they're running for office. Did they just show up and they say, hey, I want to be a judge? Or is this just another thing that they're doing in their life to prove service to others and to their community?
How do you describe your temperament and personality?
Look, I believe in the law first, okay? But I believe in passion and compassion and empathy for others. If you practice the law, you become numb to the experience that someone might be going through when they are on the other side of a case. Compassion for that person and understanding that person is vital to me. My temperament is one where I put litigants and lawyers first. And I think that's an important thing to say, because I realize that I'm speaking to the bar. I literally believe that a judge is just the facilitator of the case. Clearly, they call the balls and the strikes, but the most important people in that courtroom is the lawyer and their client. And so I work for that person in conjunction with making sure that the law is followed. So my temperament is one that is decisive, respect for lawyers, has litigants, treating them with kindness, no matter if they're represented or not, no matter where they come from, and no matter how much money they make.
In our last few seconds, what would make you a competent judge?
I think my love for the law, my love for our country, my love for our system, and my passion and dedication for not only my community, but for the system. When I tell you I'm a true believer, I believe in our law, in our Constitution, and I can't imagine a system that I wouldn't want to be a part of anymore. So thank you to everyone. Jared, I thank you for putting this. You've been very kind with me, going back and forth, and I hope everyone had a great time.
Thank you very much, candidate Danny Alvarez.
Thank you.
Circuit Court Judge, Group 31. Gregory G. Green, candidate for Circuit Court, Group 31.
What is the source of your value system?
So it's my faith and family. I was very fortunate to grow up in a Christian household. Went to Seminole Presbyterian from 1st to 8th grade before attending Buchanan and Chamberlain. My mom's a deaconess at Forest Hills Presbyterian. My father-in-law is a deacon at his church on the other coast in Melbourne, Florida, and I'm very active in my church, The Crossing, where I do biblical and marriage counseling. So faith is really important. Family is also very important. My wife knows how to keep me in check, and I always know how to go to her for any value or moral questions.
Why do you want to be a judge?
I love that question. The short answer is I want to continue my career in public service. I have a very decorated career in public service, and I'm very proud of that. To go more into depth, basically my entire adult life has been spent in courtrooms. In 1998, I started my career as a certified legal intern right here in Hillsborough County with the Hillsborough County Assistant State Attorney's Office. Was hired by them right out of law school, so was a prosecutor for a number of years, then did criminal defense work, then did some AG's work where I prosecuted termination of parental rights cases. And I currently own my own family law practice, which is heavy in divorce and child custody. So I have been in court literally since 1998, most of my career, and I've been in front of judges in Hillsborough, Pinellas, Pasco, Manatee, Sarasota, and I think it's kind of human nature to look up at the bench when you've been in court as much as I have and say, you know, maybe one day that's how I want to continue my role as a public servant. And I do believe that judges are the ultimate public servants, and I believe that that I have the knowledge and the experience and the temperament to continue my career as a public servant here as a judge in Hillsborough County.
What have you done over the years to specifically prepare for judicial service?
So that kind of ties into my answer to the question before, which is I've been in court quite a bit, and I've taken a lot of mental notes. Again, I think that's human nature. When you're in front of judges for most of your career, it's commonplace to say, I really like the way the judge runs their courtroom as it relates to this specific item, or maybe I don't like the way the judge is doing this. So I've taken a lot of mental notes. I've actually made those mental notes now written notes over the last couple of years. I've also been very fortunate to have a number of friends and colleagues, supervisors, and those that supervise me who have gone on to the judiciary. And I have talked to them at length about the job, about the pros, about the cons of the job, about what they did to prepare themselves in terms of not just lawyering, but community service. Because I do believe, again, judges are the ultimate public servants, and you need to understand the community you're serving. So a lot of mental notes and a lot of conversations with jurists that I respect.
What distinguishes you from the other candidates?
So I would say two things. I think that commitment to serve, so community service and temperament. My service is lengthy, and I'm proud of it. I'm a big brother in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. I've been in that program for well over a decade. I'm a marriage counselor at my church, The Crossing, where I sort of have a unique understanding of what's coming before me, being a family law practitioner for 14 years and trying to help those people navigate through their issues. I'm an attorney ad litem for juveniles that are charged with a crime that do not have a parent show up with them in court. And I'm an assistant high school flag football coach for Robinson High, where I've been doing that for 9 years. A little plug for them. We're the 5-time state champions. And if I didn't have all of that really in-depth connection to the community, I don't think I would understand the community as well as I do now. And then temperament. I think temperament separates me.
So how would you describe your personality and your temperament?
Sure. Humble, respectful, prepared, common sense approach, punctual, tactful, caring, empathetic. these are words that I would use to describe myself, but I also want to talk a little bit about my endorsements. I've been endorsed by over 150 lawyers, including 50 family law attorneys. I've been unanimously endorsed by the West Central Florida AFL-CIO, the Hillsborough Fire Department, their local union, Tampa Fire, the Tampa Area Chiefs of Police, the West Central Florida Police Benevolent Association, and the Tampa Police Benevolent Association. And what all of these organizations and individuals have highlighted when they've endorsed my campaign is that I have the appropriate temperament and the appropriate personality to manage a courtroom.
What would make you a competent judge?
Experience, again, over 2 decades of being in a courtroom. I think that's very important. The temperament that I've talked about, certainly managing a courtroom is much more than just experience. It's about having the appropriate temperament, understanding everything that's going on in the courtroom and being able to manage it. And then also a willingness to learn. I'm not afraid to tell people when I don't know the answer to a question, seek advice on that question, and I would be very open to reaching out to my mentor judges. We all get mentor judges for anything that I don't understand. And again, talking to all these friends, supervisors, colleagues that are on the bench, I would certainly put in the time in to learn whatever I don't know, because there's going to be a learning curve to being a judge. So experience, temperament, and my willingness to learn.
Thank you. Judicial candidate Gregory Green.
Thank you.
Scott Bonavita, candidate for Circuit Court, Group 31. Mr. Bonavita, what is the source of your value system?
The source of my value system is really years of lifetime experience. From a very young age, my parents instilled in me the values of honesty, integrity, hard work. In my teen years, I played high-level competitive soccer. I learned the value of hard work, temperament, how to perform under pressure. And later when I became a father, and a single full-time father the past 10 years, I've learned the value and importance of family, honesty, integrity, and really the source of my value system really comes from being a single father. It's a new appreciation that I've gained in the past 10 years for parents who have to go through that. And you really learn a lot from that experience.
Why do you want to be a judge?
Honestly, I want to use my knowledge, my experience, my skill set, my temperament, and my work ethic to serve and make a positive difference in our community. Secondly, I'm very passionate about the independence of the judiciary and the fair and equal treatment of all people under the law. And I want to be a leading force for positive change in that regard. Too much I see that, the good old boys club and politicians and political organizations and special interest groups have a firm stranglehold on who our judicial candidates and judges are. And I'm free from that constraint.
What have you done over the years to prepare yourself specifically for judicial service?
Honestly, I've never intentionally done anything specific to prepare for judicial service. However, over the years, I've gained invaluable experience both personally and professionally. Through sports, I've learned hard work, leadership, and sportsmanship, and temperament. As an attorney and a mediator, I've gained organizational and dispute resolution skills. And as a father, I've learned love, compassion, and empathy. And I believe that not only does a judicial candidate or judge need that professional experience, but that personal experience as well.
What distinguishes you from the other candidates?
I believe what distinguishes me from other candidates is the breadth of my experience and my passion and independence for the judiciary. In my 18-year career, I've handled cases in over 15 different practice areas. I've had my own solo law practice since 2012. And I've been a full-time single father since 2009. I have not accepted any support from political groups, politicians, special interests, or law firms. And I think those are the qualities that distinguish me from the others in this group.
How would you describe your temperament and personality?
I'm humble, I'm honest, I'm caring, I'm passionate, I'm open-minded, I'm calm and clear in thinking in very difficult situations, and empathetic, but I'm firm when it's needed. Most people consider me to be a leader and say that I have a presence when around me. I set high standards for myself, both personally and professionally, and I endeavor to bring the best out of myself at all times. I think these are all qualities that are very important in a judge.
What would make you a competent judge?
Again, I'm experienced, I'm honest, I'm hardworking, I'm committed to justice and equal treatment of all people. I'm open-minded, I'm compassionate and empathetic. I'm courteous, I'm decisive, and firm and tough when needed. I'm free from bias as I owe no favors to anyone. I haven't accepted any campaign contributions or endorsements from any political organizations, politicians, special interest groups, or any big law firms.
Thank you very much, Judicial Candidate Scott Bonavita.
Thank you.
Gary S. Dolgin, candidate for Circuit Court, Group 31.
What is the source of your value system?
The source of my value system is my wonderful parents. They instilled in me the responsibility to make the world a better place and to fight for justice and equality. In my 30 years of legal practice, I've always fought hard to obtain justice for my clients. And as a judge, I will treat everyone equally and fairly and make sure that justice is done in my courtroom.
Why do you want to become a judge?
I first thought about becoming a judge when the late Harry Lee Coe came to my American history class. He was the formerly #1 ranked player in the city of Tampa, and I was on the Plant High School tennis team. We went undefeated and won the Western Conference championship. And so we set up a tennis date, and I continued to play tennis with him the rest of his life. When I became a lawyer, he swore me into the bar. When we would play tennis and we were switching sides and sitting down and having a drink of water or Gatorade, he would tell me what it was like to be a judge. When I got sworn into the bar, he invited me to sit up next to him on the bench, and all the senior lawyers in the courtroom were wondering, who's that young kid up there? And I liked the view from the bench, and so he inspired me. I also had the honor of being invited by Justice Sandra Day O'Connor to her chambers in Washington, D.C. when I was a college student at Emory. I interviewed her for my school paper. And after we were done with the interview, we discussed my long-term goals of being a lawyer and a judge. And she told me how she graduated #2 at Stanford Law, and Justice Rehnquist graduated #1. He got every job offer that he wanted. She didn't get hired by a single person. And she said, Gary, never give up on your ambitions. The door may close, but another one may open. And she said, I bet you those law firms wish they had hired me now. We as lawyers became lawyers to have an impact on our clients' lives. I've tried to do that with my clients, whether it's my client Tara, when I helped rescue her children when they were kidnapped and taken out of state, whether it's my client Tony, whose 5-year-old daughter was taken out of the country and we had to have a Hague proceeding to get her back, or whether it's my clients 2 years ago, Mike Hoskinson, the principal of Coleman Middle School, who was wrongfully arrested, and where I was part of a legal team to help him get his job back. As a judge, I want to be a judge because as a judge, you have the opportunity to have an impact, positive impact on people every day that you serve. And the same commitment that I've shown with my clients, I will show as a judge.
What have you done specifically over the years to prepare yourself for judicial service?
Professionally, I've been practicing law for 30 years. I'm a board certified expert in marital and family law, one of only 28 in Hillsborough County, one of only 273 in the state of Florida. And only 7% of eligible lawyers in Florida are board certified. And in order to become board certified, I've had to go through a substantial peer review of my family law colleagues and judges every 5 years. They fill out anonymous recommendations, well, not anonymous, but confidential recommendations that I'm not able to see. And then they're asked to give the names of other colleagues and judges to evaluate my professionalism, my temperament, and my expertise. And every 5 years, I've gone through that peer review. I've also served the state of Florida as a prosecutor and a public defender. I'm a Supreme Court certified family mediator. I'm trained in the area of collaborative divorce, and I'm the author of Chapter 6 in the Florida Dissolution of Marriage CLE book, which is relied upon by lawyers and judges across the state. In addition to my legal service, I've been very actively involved in this community where I've lived since I was 2 years old. I volunteer for Bay Area Legal Services as a mentor to attorneys with little experience in family law. I have given free legal advice to fathers through the Child Abuse Council. I'm a member of Rotary, where I'm a Paul Harris Fellow. So my professional and community service have prepared me.
What distinguishes you from the other candidates?
I have more experience than either of the other candidates, practicing 30 years. I'm the only candidate who's achieved board certification in any area of the law. I'm the only candidate that's been designated as a super lawyer. I've run my own successful private practice for 27 years, longer than either of my opponents have been practicing. I've been both a prosecutor and a public defender. I'm a Supreme Court certified family mediator, and I believe I'm the only one that is published in a CLE book that's relied upon by judges and lawyers.
How would you describe your temperament and personality?
I'm calm, I'm humble, I'm compassionate, I'm empathetic, and I believe a judge has the responsibility not only to be prepared when people come into the courtroom, but to put the litigants and the lawyers at ease. Litigants are nervous and stressful enough, and even lawyers are nervous when they come into the courtroom. I still have butterflies, and so as a judge, those would be my goals, to provide the temperament that makes people comfortable, and also be prepared and ready to make rulings that are explained to the litigants and the lawyers.
In our last few seconds, please tell us what would make you a competent judge.
My 30 years as a practicing lawyer, my board certification as an expert in family law, my experience in criminal law as both a prosecutor and defender, and my exposure to every area the circuit court judge covers.
Thank you so much. Judicial candidate, Gary Dolgin.
Circuit Court Judge, Group 39. Wendy Joy DePaul, candidate for Circuit Court, Group 39.
Please tell us, what is the source of your value system?
The source of my value system, a lot of it comes from my parents. I had a great upbringing, a strong sense of family. I'm also very involved in my congregation. So that also, I think, gives me a lot of my value system.
Tell us why you want to become a judge.
I'd like to become a circuit court judge because I feel like it's very important for people to receive a judge that has good temperament, that is fair, even-handed with everyone, that has empathy for people, that is going to draw people out and not intimidate people, especially people who are there without an attorney.
What have you done over the years to specifically prepare yourself for judicial service?
Well, I have been practicing for 23 years. I'm also a certified public accountant. I've done that for 25. I've handled a lot of hearings, a lot of motions, a lot of cases. I've had a lot of experience in the courtroom. And I've also dealt with a lot of people who are lower income. They don't have money for attorneys, pro se's, helping them fill out forms. So I also have that vantage point where I've also worked with those people and understand what their concerns and fears are in the courtroom.
What distinguishes you from the other candidate?
I have quite a bit of experience in a wide variety of law. I've practiced family law, I've practiced civil, I've practiced probate, I've practiced criminal, I've practiced corporate. So I have a really wide variety. Also, because I'm a certified public accountant, I don't have a problem dealing with financial affidavits or anything that has to do with business.
How would you describe your temperament and your personality?
I am pretty level-headed. I don't get angry. I pride myself in being able to see both sides of a situation and being kind to people, and also that sense of empathy of understanding when people are feeling afraid. Maybe they don't want to speak out because they're worried they're going to say the wrong thing, and being able to draw people out.
What would make you a competent judge?
Like I said, I've got quite a bit of experience. I've seen a lot of different attorneys. I've seen a lot of different judges. I know what I think works and I know what I think doesn't work. I plan, if I am elected, I plan to put all of that into play. And also, I'm very involved in pro bono, giving people the opportunity to try and find an attorney that's going to represent them for free or reduced fee. And I encourage other attorneys to help out with that as well. So that's something that I would definitely push if I was elected judge, is to make sure that people who can't afford an attorney and don't have that access to the courts know where they can go to get that information to get the help they need.
Thank you. Judicial candidate Wendy DePaul.
Thank you.
Stephen Scott Stevens, candidate for Circuit Court, Group 39. Candidate Scott Stevens, what is the source of your value system?
When I got first asked to become a judge, and we have an investiture ceremony, and it's traditional to have a religious figure give a benediction, and my dad is a religious figure, and the benediction he gave, he's passed since, but back at the time he gave the benediction, and he lectured all the judges in Hillsborough County that there was only really one law that mattered the most, and it was the law that you treat other people the way you want to be treated. You love your neighbor as yourself. And he's taught me that my whole life. And I've come to believe that that is the source of laws. You got to put yourself in the position of everybody else. How would you feel if you were in that position? As it happens, there's a lot of secular philosophers who've written about the same thing. John Rawls' A Theory of Justice, a relatively famous philosophical work that hardly anybody's heard of. Justice is fairness. What would be a just system? It'd be the system that you would get if you didn't know who you were going to be, and you had to pick a system. What would it be? It'd be a system that's fair to everybody, no matter who they are, and depends only on the underlying facts of what happened under the law. So that's the sort. It's not really. I mean, I don't want to say it's a religious source, because it's a very valid source of. If it's secular in nature or in origin, it's just as valid of a principle to live by.
Why do you want to remain a judge?
Well, it's been a great career. It's a great job. I can't begrudge anybody the idea of wanting to be a judge, because for the first time in your legal career, you get to do what you think is appropriate under the facts and the law, and do what's right instead of having to do what a client's paying you to do. So it's a very rewarding job to do. And I would recommend anybody who wants to do it, I would encourage them to continue to seek to do that, because it's just a great thing. And I've been doing it for near 15 years. And you want to keep doing it because I'm at the end of my career, and I think another few years is appropriate. I want to make it to 65 and be able to retire in the normal course of things.
What have you done over the years to prepare yourself specifically for judicial service?
Oddly enough, when I was in the mid 90s, I was kind of tired of practicing law. I worked at an insurance defense firm. All we did was work for insurance companies, try to keep claimants from getting any money from them. About half the time we were right, the claimants were trying to get money they weren't entitled to. About the other half the time we were resisting them unnecessarily, and we didn't really know which half of the time. A very frustrating existence. Went back to school and I started educating myself. I educated myself to use my legal training to be a professor. And it turned out that turned out to be very helpful when happenstance put me in a judicial position, because I had studied business and I had studied a lot of other things about how things work. And it turned out to be very useful to have all this excess. Right now, I'll admit it's just excess education, but it was fun getting it at the time. When I got back into judicial world, it was very good to have it.
What distinguishes you from the other candidate?
Well, I've been a judge for 15 years. I've done hundreds of juries, not hundreds, plural, over 100, perhaps 150 jury trials. I've divorced 8,000 people, 200 en español. I've done criminal law. I've made the hard decisions that people have to make. And when you have really hard decisions, send a kid back away from the only parents it's ever known, to go and live with a dad who just got out of prison. When you have to make those decisions, you have to make the right decision. And I've had, that's when you have the gut check, and I've faced that gut check and done what I had to do every time.
How do you describe your temperament and personality?
I'm pretty much a friendly person. I don't, when you're in court, people are always trying you. They always see what they can do to try to, sometimes they want to aggravate you. Sometimes they want to make you like them better. if you want to know what I'm like in court, I think you should ask the court reporters. They're probably the best source of unbiased information. And all in all, you'll find sporadic accounts of people who thought that they didn't feel good when they came to court, but you can't make everybody feel good. You try, and you really try not to make anybody feel bad unnecessarily. And I, started off earlier on, I probably did that more than I should have, but I've learned over the course of the 15 years to not do that and to treat everybody with more respect. And I don't think you'll find any of those complaints in the last 10 years, for example. Go ahead, sir.
What makes you a competent judge?
I show up on time every day, do my job. I write my decisions promptly. I'm decisive, and I have a very good success rate in terms of the decisions not getting appealed. I have a good success rate in terms of the decisions getting settled before they have to be appealed. And that's important, because if you're a really good judge, people can predict what you're going to do because they know you're going to follow the law, and they settle their cases instead of having to try them. And so that's what I've been working on really hard, and that's what I'm continuing to try to do. The other thing I'd say about that is I recognize the need for continued self-improvement. I take continuing judicial education courses all the time. And I'm also taking, other kinds of educational experiences when they come up. So you never really know enough to do this job. You could always know a little bit more and do a little bit better job. And I try to do that all the time.
Thank you very much, Candidate Stevens.
Thank you, sir.
County Court Judge, Group 7. Nancy Jacobs, candidate for County Court, Group 7.
Judicial candidate Nancy Jacobs, can you please tell me the source of your value system?
Sure. My value system comes from observing my middle-class parents and how they worked hard every day to attain the American dream. My dad owned a laundromat, and my mom stayed home to raise the kids until we were old enough, and then she went back to college and earned a degree in allied health. Watching my parents, I learned my work ethic, the importance of community service, and the golden rule of treating others as you would want to be treated. My parents involved us in food drives and helping to serve meals on holidays in shelters. I take these values with me every day in my life and in my career.
Why do you want to become a judge?
I'd like to become a judge because serving as a judge is the ultimate community service. While living in Tampa, I served as a prosecutor for 8 years, and I've owned my own and run my own law practice for 27 years. As a judge, I'll use my legal acumen to apply the law and treat litigants with dignity and respect, and while in my courtroom, and making sure at the same time that the community is protected.
What have you done specifically over the years to prepare yourself for judicial service?
I've educated myself and secured my certification as a Supreme Court civil mediator to provide a wider range of services to my clients. And I've served my community after being appointed as a code enforcement special magistrate in the area of water regulation on a pro bono basis. I learned judiciary skills in that position that will serve me well as a judge today. Included in my lifetime of community service, I have memberships on the board of directors of the Epilepsy Foundation of Tampa Bay and Hillel School, as well as in what was formerly known as the Carrollwood Bar and is now the North Tampa Bar Association. And I've been a member for over a decade. In addition, I have performed as a part of my practice pro bono work for active military and veterans since 1993. And then as recently as 2019, the Florida Supreme Court recognize my service. I also do a lot of pro bono work for the SPCA of Tampa Bay on the Legal Advisory Committee and with the Humane Society.
What distinguishes you from the other candidates?
My life experiences within my own family distinguish me. I've had to deal with issues of alcoholism, drug abuse, mental health issues, and even suicide. These difficult experiences make me compassionate and patient, and I'm able to empathize with others and understand the problems that people bring to court, particularly county court, every day. I'm able to use my unique ability and my legal experience with these serious issues and apply the law to the facts and take into account the personal challenges of the individuals in the courtroom to reach a fair, legal, and just decision in every case.
How would you describe your temperament and personality?
I'm a strong leader. I'm fair and equitable. I'm a pragmatist, though, who gets down to brass tacks when it comes to the law. I'm calm under pressure, and people describe me as patient and even-keeled. But with 35 years of legal experience, I'm able to apply the law to the facts in a given situation and reach a well-reasoned decision. I'll bring honesty, integrity, and compassion to the bench, and it's my goal to ensure that every person who appears in front of me as a judge leaves feeling that they were treated fairly.
What would make you a competent judge?
Well, after answering the last 5 questions, I've expounded upon my strengths, my knowledge of the law, and my fairness and compassion while representing clients in court. These attributes will make me an excellent judge in county court, which is often referred to as the people's court. And if anybody has any other questions for me, they can feel free to give me a call directly at 813-789-7173, or go to my website at nancyjacobsforjudge.com. My Gmail is jacobs4judge@gmail.com. And most people in this group know me anyway, so just give me a call or whatever you'd like to do. And I'll be happy to answer any questions that I can answer for you within the canons of Judicial Canon 7.
Thank you, Judicial Candidate Nancy Jacobs.
Monique Scott, candidate for County Court, Group 7. What is the source of your value system?
The source of my value system comes from the adversity that I have faced in my life. I am a first-generation American. My parents moved here from the early 80s from Colombia, South America. They left their home country because at the time that country was unstable. In addition to that, I grew up in a household where my biological father was emotionally, verbally, and physically abusive. So I grew up as a young child very much in fear of my biological father, which was very difficult, but my mother persevered, and she did show me the work ethic and the grit and the pick yourself up and get what you need to get done and take care of yourself example that I needed in my life to be a strong and independent leader and female in my life. Additionally, at the age of 10, I was diagnosed with epilepsy, which is a lifelong condition. And throughout my entire life and career, as a mom, as a wife, as a sister, I've faced discrimination, adversity with epilepsy, and I've always persevered. I've always overcome. And I believe that those experiences is what leads me to be the best candidate to become Hillsborough County Court Judge, because I do know what it is to overcome, to persevere, and to be resilient.
Why do you want to be a judge?
I want to be county court judge because I believe that county court is the perfect place to continue my public service. I have been a career-long public servant. I started off my career with the Tampa Police Department, continued in public education as a public school teacher, and then transitioned with the state attorney's office as an assistant state attorney for the past 6 years. I believe combined, all of those perspectives and experiences provide a unique aspect to serve as our next county court judge and help individuals from all walks of life with the knowledge and the resources of which I'm aware of, and truly be a public servant both on the bench and off the bench.
What have you done over the years to prepare yourself specifically for judicial service?
Well, my career at the state attorney's office, I served in a variety of different divisions. I served in the economic crimes division, felony circuit, county domestic violence trial division, violation of probation, drug court, and then of course county court. I've had the opportunity to participate in a number of different trials. I have over 100 bench trials, over 60 first chair jury trials, and countless second chair jury trials. I have always been an attorney who sought out challenges, and I've always persevered to seek out opportunities to make myself a well-rounded attorney. Additionally, I bring insight that no other candidate has as a former educator for 5 years and a former police officer. I've been in the fields and I've been in the classrooms. I think all of those perspectives are unique and can benefit the citizens of Hillsborough County, our attorneys as well, and just be the best judge for Hillsborough County Court Judge.
What distinguishes you from the other candidates?
The diversity of my career path, starting off as a police officer, transitioning to public education, and then back into into law enforcement as an assistant state attorney. I have a very, arguably the most diverse background. So that is what mainly separates me between the other candidates. I also think with that experience has provided me with a opportunity to have a sense of composure in the face of whatever sort of stressors could come my way as judge. And I think that that's important to have the temperament, the composure, the discipline, and practice.
How do you describe your temperament and personality?
Well, again, disciplined. I think that being disciplined means that you're always prepared for the motions that you are getting ready to hear, from the trials that you are getting ready to preside over. Additionally, obviously resilient, composed, and altogether just objective, fair, and I intend to run my courtroom with integrity and civility.
In these last few seconds, what would make you a competent judge?
The experience, both on and off the bench. I've already talked about my experience off the bench, or in the courtroom, I should say. But additionally, I'm involved within our community. I volunteer with the Epilepsy Service Foundation. I'm on the board for the Tampa Hispanic Bar Association, the Hillsborough Association of Women Lawyers. Additionally, I was in the Florida Bar Leadership Academy. That's an extreme honor. Only 30 attorneys were selected throughout the entire state of Florida. I also volunteer with the Humane Society and Metropolitan Ministries with my family. And just in the courtroom, outside of the courtroom, I'm a part of this community, and I will continue to serve that way.
Thank you, candidate Monique Scott.
Thank you.
Rick Silverman, candidate for County Court, Group 7.
Can you please tell me the source of your value system?
My family is definitely a blue-collar family. I'm actually the second lawyer in my entire family in 4 generations. A great aunt being the only other one before me. Everybody else is a plumber, electrician, a carpenter. My mom was a housewife for a while. My dad was a plumber. My mom was a housewife for a while. And then when he left, and basically we ended up on welfare, my mother went into a job training program and worked her way up to be a bookkeeper. I feel that knowing what it's like to go from one end of the spectrum to the other financially, I have respect and regard for individuals. I also believe in fair play because of this. And I think it's important value to bring to the bench.
Why do you want to become a judge?
I've been 32 years, and although I've done all different types of practice of, different various areas of law, I've really honed in on county traffic and misdemeanor work. And the last 25 years here in Hillsborough, you're involved in trials all the time. You try infraction cases, you try DUI, suspended license cases, bench trials, jury trials, little infraction cases, motion hearings. You begin to pick up on things. So when you have and you build up this experience and knowledge of the law, you reach a point in your life where you want to change roles. And the role change that I want to do is I want to leave being an advocate, and I want to be the person who is the independent arbiter. And I think with my experience and my background, I can be a strong benefit to the community, and that's why I want to be a county judge.
And what have you done over the years to specifically prepare yourself to be a judge?
Well, like I said, early in my career, I did do civil practice, but they kept on sending me to traffic court and misdemeanor court. And, you know, my mom always told me, if you're going to be a ditch digger, be a good ditch digger. So I learned a lot of. I've reached a point where people come to me and they ask me questions. Other lawyers ask me questions about traffic. I've served on Florida Bar's Traffic Court Rules Committee for on and off for 17 years. I've been chairman twice. I've written rules of traffic court that the Supreme Court's approved. So I've given commentary to administrative codes regarding electronic and mechanical measuring devices. My experience in court, my experience with the rules, my knowledge of the rules, I believe that prepares me very well. Plus, let's face it, I know when the court system's at its worst and when it's at its best, and I think I can guide it towards its best.
What distinguishes you from the other candidates running?
Touching on the same theme of my other answers, it's the breadth of my experience in county court. Now, granted, Mr. Kukar, you mentioned that you didn't see me before, probably because you haven't been down to misdemeanor traffic or to an infraction docket. But I'm a regular, and I know the workings of these courts. I know the characters involved in these courts. I know the parties. I understand what the litigants want, the represented ones and the unrepresented ones. And I think I can actually bring more from my experience to get people to understand more about the court system and to actually reach their goal of obtaining justice.
How would you describe your temperament and personality?
Yeah, I try to get along with everybody. Granted, if I was on the bench or when I'm on the bench, I would do what I know that other judges expect from me, and that's professionalism. But there has to be a level of good temperament. You should have respect for the people that come before you. I'm only the arbiter. I'm no better than anybody else in that courtroom. So I want to be open. I want to listen to people. And heck, I like to actually interject and show people I'm a human being from time to time also.
What would make you a competent judge?
Well, you got to think, when I think about competency, what is judicial competence? Well, personally, I think that a judge has to have that good demeanor. A judge has to have respect for the individuals that come before them. And that also means prompt when they come to court. When you're in court, when you go to court, there are times that you're waiting 45 minutes for a judge to show up. That person's not showing respect for you. Also, knowledge of the law and knowledge of not only the law, but the rules of court is important for competency. But to be open to argument and be able to listen and rule consistently according to the law, even if it's not what you've done before. If there's new case law, I'm going to listen to it. If somebody's got a different argument that works, I'm going to listen to it. The bottom line is I will follow the law. That's going to make competency important.
Thank you so much, Judicial Candidate Rick Silverman.
Thank you.
Bill Yanger, candidate for County Court, Group 7. Judicial Candidate Bill Yanger, what is the source of your value system?
Thank you, Jared. I think it's pretty easy for me. My parents instilled a sense of empathy, inclusion, humanity, and humility in my sister and me at a very, very early age. My mom was a school teacher. She's now deceased, but she was a school teacher and later a principal here in Tampa. And my father is still a practicing lawyer. He was a school teacher before becoming a lawyer. And I like to believe that both of their sense of compassion and justice rubbed off on me.
Why do you want to be a judge?
Well, it's a question that all of us get asked a lot on the campaign trail, or what there is of a campaign trail during the time of COVID. And I could spend the next 20 years practicing law and living comfortably the life that I'm living now, going to the beach, going fishing, spending time with my kids when my daughter's in town and my son's being here. But I believe that I have a unique opportunity to give back to the profession and the community that has given me so much. The judiciary is the logical and natural progression of what I consider to be a very well-respected and successful career in the law, and I look forward to this next challenge.
What have you done over the years to prepare yourself specifically for judicial service?
Well, 34 years practicing law and practicing primarily, maybe 95% of what I've done is litigation. I've appeared in front of perhaps thousands of judges in varying forums, from state court to federal court to civil and criminal, family law, bankruptcy, workers' compensation, and administrative hearings. Each of those encounters has provided lessons to me, lessons from the bench. And many of those I'm going to emulate, and a few I certainly will not. But I have learned from many judges, super competent judges, and very well-respected judges, and I take that to heart every time I walk into the courtroom.
What distinguishes you from the other candidates?
Well, as I kind of referenced earlier, I have a breadth of practice that I believe, in my personal opinion, quite starkly separates me from my opponents. One example, because we don't have a lot of time, but one example is my federal court practice, including numerous complex jury trials. And we're not talking about jury trials where you get the jury in the morning and you get your verdict at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. These are days long, weeks long sometimes, jury trials where you have dozens of witnesses and intense testimony. I've tried those jury trials before judges who I consider to be role models in terms of temperament. I mean, federal judges are vetted significantly. We've all seen the hearings, the Senate hearings on television. And I've learned a lot from those role models in terms of temperament, in terms of work ethic, in terms of management of their docket and their courtroom. And I've tried those cases against attorneys who are from across the country, frankly, who are at the top of their profession.
How do you describe your temperament and personality?
Fairness, adherence to the rule of law, respect for the litigants, and particularly respect for counsel. Prompt, thoughtful, determined, and reasoned and supportable decision making. Importantly, because of the audience that we have here, I would say that I will let every attorney know that as a judge, I will never forget what it is like to walk into a courtroom as a lawyer with a client.
What would make you a competent judge?
Well, the short answer is, my experience and the diversity of my experience. But the transition, and Mr. Silverman referred to this, the transition from advocate to judge is going to be a challenge. It's a challenge for every advocate to step out of that role and move into the role of, as again, Mr. Silverman referred to, the independent arbiter. But it is one faced by all new judges. I'm confident that the 34 years I've referred to earlier of honing my professional craft before judges across the jurisdictional spectrum, against lawyers of every level of competency and knowledge and skill, has prepared me to competently wear the robe and serve the citizens of Hillsborough County.
Thank you very much, candidate Bill Yanger.
Thank you.
This concludes our presentation of the North Tampa Bar Association's Judicial Candidates Forum for the 2020 elections. Many thanks to all of the candidates for taking the time to join us. Most importantly, thanks to you for taking an interest in our local judicial elections. This video, along with the candidates' written answers, will be available on our website shortly. The website address is www.northampabarassociation.com. Feel free to watch the video again, or please pass the links for the video and the information on to anyone you know who might be able to use it. Also at the website, you can learn more about the North Tampa Bar Association, our many attorney and affiliate members, and our connection and service to our community. Thanks once more for joining us.